This is an introductory conversation, and it's about ULab as a global program that you can join on your own. And it's also about our hub that I'm hosting. It's a way to have a more intimate and refined experience, curated experience through this 8 to 12 week journey. We're starting now. We may end up going a little bit beyond the end of ULab, depending on what people need and how quickly we're able to move. And Regenerate You, I'm viewing this a little bit as a seasonal approach to working with change makers. So this is season 1. And this season, it's absolutely 100% free. And it's going to actually shape what season 2 looks like, to be frank. So you already did this. You're joining in from, and what brought you to the call today. That's awesome. And I want to introduce you to my daughter. It's just not now. I had multiple daughters for a while because many of you joined as Erin, but my daughter Erin O'Mara is the second daughter that's worked with me as part of the Leaders Collab, my company. And she's just joined me recently. She's a recent college grad in communication, and she's going to act as the hub coordinator and communications coordinator for this journey. So if you need anything, please reach out to either of us. But Erin's going to be like, if you can't join into something, if you wonder why something's happening in the community that we're going to be using, please reach out to Erin, and we'll make sure you have all that information as you go if you decide to join us. Today, what's today about quickly? We want to just share our offer and intention for this call and for the hub. So today it's really to reflect a little bit and recharge. I'm going to lead you in a little bit of breathing and centering because I think that's good for everybody always. You're going to have a chance to connect with each other who are curious to be here today. You'll learn about Theory U as an action-based learning and systems change approach, and get a peek at the ULab content and some Theory U assets that are made available to you freely already, whether or not you join the hub. And understand the journey that's ahead for fall 2025, and a little bit about the commitment that it takes from you, although it's variable. If those of you who've been through it before, you understand, you decide how deep to go and how much to engage. And then you get to decide if you want to keep going in some way. So that's the intent. And hopefully it's a bright idea. Didn't know that was a build. I mentioned this concept of the VUCA world that we're living in, and I see it as both a challenge and a call to action. It's also an opportunity. Change doesn't happen when everything's just awesome and easy. It doesn't change very quickly anyway. So I think that it's a call to activate a better future, but how do you do that? And as leaders, we need to up our internal capacity to lead and adapt and thrive even in this moment. And ULab is a great way to do that. I think I've been through ULab 5 or 6 times personally and led 3 hubs. So one way we do it is by getting present in our bodies and with our breath, in the here and now, and letting go of whatever it took to get you here and whatever's coming immediately following this. I'm going to just invite you to ground and center by feeling your feet on the floor, sitting upright on your chair consciously in a way where you can notice your shoulders over your hips. You can feel your weight on the chair or the bed or wherever you're sitting. And then I'm going to ask you to notice your breath by taking a deep breath. I'm going to ask you to exhale first and push it out, and then bring it back in deeply for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 counts, and let it go out your mouth if you can. And then another deep breath for 8 in. 6, 7, 8. Hold at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then let it go for 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then go ahead and just notice how you want to breathe, what feels right, and do it on your own. And allow silence. And if you're eyes want to drop like mine just did, go ahead and allow that. Now I want you to tune in to your senses. I want you to listen to the furthest away sound that you can hear. What other ambient noises, what other noises can you also hear? Maybe there's a clock ticking, or a low hum of a washer or a dryer, or a light. And then I want you to tune into the sound of your own breath. And just notice what happened in those 2 minutes. Just notice as you're coming back, you're moving your body, you're opening your eyes, you're looking at each other. Just notice, do you feel a little bit different? And are you more present and aware and here and now? And I also am going to invite you to, if you can see, if you've got yourself on, whatever view, a gallery view, I always invite, just look at each other a little bit and see my smile. And just notice that generally creates a little bit of surge of positive oxytocin or hormones that lift us up. So I'm inviting you to smile as well. So Theory U, we talked about the book world we're in and how challenging change can be. Like, I think that, and I'm going to let Otto speak to you about this in a moment, Otto Scharmer, who will be one of the key teachers in ULab and creators, founders, researchers that uncovered this systems change methodology, if you want to call it that, this approach. But basically, we are sitting over here in the current world that we're in. And a lot of what happens in this current world is unconsciously downloading patterns that have been created in the past. And what the ULab approach and the theory of change of ULab is systemically is that we get to go deeper and stop just downloading patterns from the past, but actually suspending judgment about what is, what should be, and seeing the current times with fresh eyes, with an open mind, and sensing what's happening from the field, but also from our own hearts, in order to let go of old patterns, thoughts, beliefs that might not be serving us anymore, and connecting with deep presence to ourselves, to each other, and to the field of play that we're called to explore during this 8 to 12-week journey. Let me say that again. By sensing into and connecting to ourselves, each other, and the field of play, the place where we want to focus during this journey. So that could be for Susan, the university, or higher ed as an institution. Jim, I know you, and I know you're thinking about this at a meta kind of societal level, and what's my role? And maybe you're also thinking about it for a local community. So each of us will have sort of our own place that we'll be thinking about, or this own initiative or topic. So who do we need to become in order to crystallize a vision and a new set of intentions and build the capacity to maybe try new things out in a way that's experimental, with prototyping and the tools from Theory U, so that we can actually begin to embody a new way of being and acting from the whole to help usher in and bridge the gap between the future we want to have and create or co-create versus the future we're living in. So I'm going to go ahead and share this. It's actually an older version of the Introductory U that Otto Scharmer recorded. I think this one might be from 2015 or 2016, but I really like it. And because it's got the visuals embedded, and I just want you to get a sense of his voice and his message.
Many people feel, and maybe you
hear
too,
that
we live in a time of disruption where something is ending and dying and something else is wanting to be born. This picture here is expressing this feeling of disruption by placing us on two sides of the chasm. On the one side is our current self and current reality. And on the other side is the other part of ourselves that already today begins to connect with future possibilities that maybe we can bring into reality in our journey forward. The journey of the you and the journey of ULab is basically to help the current self to better connect to the emerging future possibilities waiting here. So before we embark on that journey, I would like to share two key concepts with you that underlie the ULab and the U process. The first one is the iceberg model, an idea you have probably come across many times already. And it's the simple distinction between 10% of the iceberg visible above the waterline, and yet there's another 90% that also matters, that significantly contributes to the behavior of the system. And when you go around across places and countries today and talk to people, I'm actually amazed to see how many people basically agree on that the current system is broken and that we face significant challenges in our societies today that require some profound change. And when you talk about, we probably don't agree on the solutions, but when you talk about the problems, many people agree on that there are these three main buckets: the ecological divide, the social divide, and something that I call the spiritual divide. And the ecological divide probably is best summarized by the number 1.5. We, as a global economy today, use resources 1.5 times the regeneration capacity of planet Earth. So that's the first divide, very familiar to us. The second divide, the social divide, also not unfamiliar. So it is manifesting in increasing levels of inequity, of social tensions, of fragmentation. According to a recent Oxfam study, 62 billionaires today own more than the bottom half of mankind. So on the one hand, you have...
Okay, I'm going to just pause because this is probably 10 years old, and I bet you it's different. Both of these sets of statistics are different. And unfortunately, they're going in the wrong direction. Just to be clear.
62 people, as many as you can fit into a single bus. On the other hand, 3.7 billion. So more than 10 times the population or 11 times the population of the United States. And that's a level of inequity we have. And the problem is it's getting worse. It's not getting better. While the ecological divide is basically arising from a disconnect between self and nature. And the social divide is basically arising from a disconnect between self and other. The spiritual divide is basically arising from a disconnect between self and self, between who I am today and who I could be tomorrow. And if these two selves are not connected, it results in a feeling of loss of energy, symptoms of burnout, symptoms of depression, or even, in some cases, risk for suicide. In 2010, more people killed themselves than were killed by war, murder, and natural disasters combined. So think about that. In spite of all the violence going on across the planet, more people kill themselves than are being killed by others. So that's the level of gravity of the problem we have on this side. So if we look at this, we can summarize the current situation with a sentence that today is applicable to many bigger systems we are working in, which is, we collectively create results that no one wants. We collectively create results that no one wants, but the question is, why? No one not you, not I, is getting up in the morning and looking into the mirror and saying, okay, I will put in another day of destroying more of nature, inflicting harm and violence on other people, and also increasing my own degree of unhappiness. No one is doing that yet. Collectively, that's exactly what we are doing today. And that's the investigation that the iceberg model is inviting into. What are the structural factors that actually make us doing these things that are so misaligned with our real intentions? Before we go there, I would like to invite you to watch and evoke.
I will say in updated videos, when Otto talks about this, he says we are collecting results that almost no one wants. He's a little bit more tentative in the way he talks about that, because there may be some people who are trying to create division. Just to, again, an update on Otto's language in the last 10 years.
At a video clip, and after that, to share a little bit of your own observation of the key changes that you see going on in your environment right now.
Okay. So just wanted to give you a feeling for the meta view of ULab. And we in ULab, we really have the opportunity to work on all of the three divides, but it's a lot about our capacity as individuals and our intention, setting our intention. And ideally, if you want to join with a group that you're already working with, a collective you're already working with, then you're also co-sensing and co-navigating this journey. And then you, on the other side of it, you get to co-create what wants to emerge next. So I'm actually inviting a group of potential future collaborators for the Leaders Collab, my company, in to this journey. And each of you have the opportunity to do the same. If you've already got something you've got going on, if you've got a small initiative or a big initiative, it doesn't matter, and you want to host a sort of mini hub within this broader Regenerate U Hub, you are absolutely welcome to do that. If you want to go off and create your own hub that you run in parallel, but still be a member of this hub, you can absolutely do that. So you're getting nurturing for yourself, but also you're able to run something separately. I'm very open to how this might emerge for you and how it might apply. But what's most important really is that you do have an intention in mind for how you would want to apply Theory U in your life. And it can be all about your ability to connect with other people one-on-one, in which case, no need to necessarily bring a group, right? Or to do it as a group. Or it could just be about, I need to understand this methodology so that I can consider bringing it in to my group. So I want to taste it first before I bring it in and use it with others. All of those things are future possibilities, because once you've got the content, you can actually do ULab. You can run your own ULab at its own pace, because the videos are all there. So this is kind of part of the invitation. Oh, I don't want that. I want to keep going. So I'm going to invite you. This is something, and we are going to connect in small groups shortly after this. But I am going to invite you to do a little bit of journaling, and that is very much part of this process. And why is journaling or writing things down or contemplating learning important for you and for all of us? It is important because when we pause a little bit longer to make sense of what we just saw and to tap into our own inner intelligence, we actually learn more. We actually absorb more and integrate more the process. So please take a few moments. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to just jot down some notes on one or all three of these questions. And I am going to invite you in a few minutes to break out and talk about some of these things. So I'm giving you a chance to collect your thoughts. Okay, so I want to continue. Many of you have probably seen this picture before of the elephant, right? And I want you to really look at it. I really want you to just notice what's going on in this kind of busy picture. Obviously, people have an opinion or a view of what they're seeing, a perspective on reality. And if you look closely, they've all got blindfolds on. So not only are they seeing this elephant from the tail end or the nose end or the underneath or whatever, but they have blindfolds on. So they're only seeing a certain perspective. And so seeing the whole system from many perspectives actually requires us to take off our blindfolds, to take off our blinders and be curious and to recognize that we don't have the 100% truth ever. We only have maybe a 10% or 2% view of the whole. Part of what is required in these crazy times where it's not as simple as an elephant is the ability to explore the whole with an open mind and an open heart. And that's really an open will, which I'll talk to you a little bit about in just a moment, with a willingness to actually have your viewpoint be changed. Because what's the point if you have a rigorous, interesting, generative conversation with a bunch of people and you walk away and you still think it's a spear? In a way, right? Hopefully you allow your perspective to be shaped by other perspectives. What we're going to move into is a dialogue now, or actually a small group conversation. And I'm going to assume you're here because you like things to be different and you like to enable things to be different. So I'll call you a change catalyst. Change catalysts have courageous conversations. And we create a safe and courageous space for others to speak into or just be in. So it's up to us to cultivate that space every time we're in a conversation with other people. And so I know that most of you have done this many times, but I'm just going to invite you to walk into this breakout room with that reality. And I'm going to give you a couple of other tools. And this is from Theory U. It's a screenshot from a video. So that's why it's messy. But it talks about 4 levels of conversation. We can speak from a place of downloading, and that can be telling what we know or speaking from what others want to hear, but not really necessarily saying your whole truth or being open to listening. He's got this as talking nice and debate as talking tough. So the downloading is you're just out in the world trying to fit in and do your thing. Debate is I know what I think and I'm trying to express and even confront others who think differently. So that's a closed mind approach to dialogue versus speaking from an open mind. And then the idea here that we could go to actually dialogue and speaking from a place of seeing myself as part of a bigger system and moving from defending my view into a space of inquiry and curiosity and really to connect. And then at its best, we can actually generate creativity and collective flow, speaking from a place of just noticing what's coming and moving through us. And that will actually happen in this process at some point, not today necessarily. I'm going for dialogue today. In order for dialogue to happen, we need individually to look at our capacity for listening. So I'm going to invite you today to listen, not from my own viewpoint only, to confirm that other people see the world as I see it, but actually with an open mind and noticing other people's viewpoints and differences, and also with an open heart, empathic or empathetic listening, seeing or hearing through another's eyes and ears and having an emotional connection, and listening even at the deepest level for what wants to evolve out of this conversation, what new insights might be coming up, for example, for you that you wouldn't have had if you hadn't had this conversation. So that's the invitation. And there's training in ULab on levels of listening, and it's excellent training. But I'm giving you a little preview today and a little bit of practice, because that's what the ULab Hub will be like, right? We're going to practice. We're going to practice these new tools that we're learning. So I want to give you a chance to do this. We're going to put you in groups of about 3, maybe one group of 4. And I'm going to invite you all to share on these 3 questions. Which of the 3 divides are you most called to focus on if you join ULab, and why? What ideas or hopes are beginning to arise for you? And notice, and I want you to just notice as you're talking, pay attention to the impact you're having on others. And I should have taken that 3 off here, because I ended up putting, for the others, your instructions are listen. If you're not speaking, listen with an open mind and heart, and notice what's resonating with you, and be ready to share an appreciation with the person who is sharing their heart, right? Their head and their heart. So good practice. Let me give another visual set of instructions. You're going to be in actually breakout groups of, it looks like 3 or 4. I might change it. Somebody else has come in around 3. The first person is going to share in about, I'm going to say we've got 2 or 3 minutes each, right? And then give a 30-second acknowledgement to what that person has said. So it's not a big, long soliloquy. You're not campaigning for anything. You're just quick share, a little bit of acknowledgement. What did you hear? What did you feel from the other person? And then you'll move to the next person in the group. Okay, so you're going to repeat that for all group members. If you have extra time, then go ahead and just continue having a meaningful conversation. And I'm going to give this about 12 minutes total. This off by the top of the hour. Here's how we're going to do that. I would love what I call a meta debrief. I'd love to hear, and raise your hands if you want to share, like, what's an insight you're having about this process so far, and your ability to have these open-minded, open-hearted conversations. And maybe it's new, not new for you, that's okay. But, what's an insight that you're having so far? Susan.
I think that if I want to have these kinds of conversations with my peers at work, they need to also be at the same level of open-minded, open-hearted receptiveness, and willing to, the 2 slides that you showed us before the breakout, that we all have to be on that same page to really make this work.
Yes. And the beautiful part about that, Susan, is that is a big part of the learning of ULab in the first few weeks. And there is also a listening assessment that helps you notice what level you're listening from. That ideally, at the end of the day, you reflect on, when was I listening from level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4? And when did I start at one level and I shifted? So that is a very specific practical tool that you get from going through this training. So it is action-based learning, and we're both tuning ourselves and tuning into ourselves in our own capacity while we're looking out there and noticing what's happening in our world and what needs to change. So thank you, Susan, for that insight. Any other insights?
Yes, I have one.
Okay, Darren.
First of all, thank you, Siva, for beautiful, deep, very deep conversation in a very short space of time. So that was enlightening. And the thing that occurs to me is that these topics can be very overwhelming, or almost beyond your individual sphere of control or influence even. And there is an interest to me that there is a descent before an ascent. Right. So when you were asking about feelings, and so there was some like despondency and sadness and inadequacy to address some of these things in that, and then an emergence of hope and possibility that seemed to emerge. Just embracing that it's not an easy journey, obviously, but it's obviously a very universal spiritual journey of self-sacrifice, of letting go, letting die, for something new and emergent to be born. So I'm excited and hopeful for the journey.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Open to another insight or share if anybody feels so called. to do. Alistair.
I couldn't find the emoji for raising my hand there. Thanks for noticing.
That's okay.
You know what struck me was when you said you paused the video and you said the data is from 10 years ago. And what kind of scares me is, what are we missing? As if you're part of this call, you ideally want to change something on like a societal level, I'm assuming. And since 10 years ago, things have gotten worse from that data we're given. So how do we take the theory out of theory you into more 10 years from now, we say, oh, that 1.5 has gone down to 1 or something. That's sort of
Oh, that's the
that's what
$100
I'm
billion
finding scary.
question, Alistair. The $100 billion question. And that's just a number out of the air. I appreciate, the place from which the question's being asked. And it's, we are in this space and time where we can't know. We can't know. So really, I think the most important part of the ULab journey is the bolstering of our inner capacity to have conversations like this and to stay on the playing field, despite the fact that we don't know what the outcomes will be, and to give us tools that we can continue to try, and new ways of connecting. And so I think it's worth the journey, and there are no guaranteed outcomes for any of us. And if we can also apply it on a smaller scale, I fully believe that nothing changes until we change the people involved in the change, right? Like, we have to grow our own capacity. And what Susan even said, if I'm going to have this kind of a conversation with my peers, there's an inner transformation, maybe subtle, maybe not that hard, that in order to even open up to exploring with open mind and open heart, right? So but for example, inviting other people in, we're actually giving ourselves allies that we might be able to play better with, that we might be able to enable change more cleanly and from a deeper place of presence than we could in the past. I'm going to just say, because we've only got a couple of minutes left, I just want to give you guys an idea of like, how do you continue if you want to. So it's super simple. We're going to send you an email with some next steps on how to engage. And we are running this community on Mighty Networks. It's a separate network. You'll have a private space in there. And if you choose to bring a group with you that's focused on something, like, and you want even a private space within the private space, we'll create that for you. Not a big deal. I already have this membership space. It's not costing me anything that I don't already pay. So not a problem. We will form coaching circles. You can choose to create a coaching circle within this hub, or you can also opt into the bigger hub and do it in a coaching circle and with that global community there. So we're going to give you the instructions. There are 3 systems to sign up with. Ours, we're going to send you that one first. And then inside of ours, you can we've got instructions for how to sign up with the Presencing Institute ULab course. And most importantly, where the content is MIT online, that edX course. And on MIT, you have a choice on whether or not you want to get the $99 certificate at the end, which requires you to complete everything, all the modules, or not. If you don't, then it's free. And it's all free. I'm doing it this year. Again, it's my first time doing it since 2019, right before the pandemic, as a hub leader. And I just felt like it was time. So offering it up. And I do have, like I said, some people coming in that I'm hoping to collaborate on. So if you have some emerging collaborations or a team that you already work with and you want to include them, just reach out and let me know. All right, everyone. It's 1 o'clock. I ended on time. So if you want some bonus time, I will hang out for Q&A and connection for the next 15 or 20 minutes. And Jim, thank you. And so feel free to hang around if you want to, but if you've got a 1 o'clock call, you better get going, right? Or the top of the hour, wherever you are. And have a great day. And I hope to see you in the hub.